Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 25 of a year of change. Although we aren't quite at a 30-day mark for a month or 28 days for 4 weeks, 25 days is still pretty good. So it's a little bit of a milestone. So I'm not sure when you're watching this. I tend to do my weigh-ins on Sundays. So middle of the week is Wednesday for me. So for today, we're going to go back to what we've been doing the past 2 or 3 weeks and offer another snacking alternative sort of thing. So we did, 2 weeks ago, we did dates for people that have a really strong sweet tooth. And then last week we talked about pickles, for those of you that want something salty. So today we're going to touch on those of you who like sour stuff. And most times when you get something sour as well, there's sort of a sweet part that goes along with it. So this is going to mesh really, really well. And it's something that it's, depending on when you get it, it's a bit more expensive than the dates. But still just as good. And that is grapes. Are grapes. Those are grapes. They're plural. So those are grapes. Ideally, for me anyway, I'm talking about the seedless kind. The green seedless grapes are the best ones. Any sort of grapes are good. They've got a ton of vitamins in them. There's hardly any calories. They're like 300 calories for a pound. So if you can imagine eating an entire pound of grapes. They do have a lot of sugar in them, but compared to what we're probably eating now, it's a lot better. If you were to take the same amount of grapes as, say, a Mars bar, they have about a third as much sugar as a Mars bar would. So it's still pretty high, but still better than a Mars bar. Plus you get everything else that goes along with it. You get the water to help with hydration. You've got tons of different vitamins. There's antioxidants, which I don't really know what they do, but everyone thinks that they're really good. There's, what's the other thing? There's something else that's in it, and it's called, I can't remember the name of it. It's like Reversatol or something. And it's supposed to be very good. And some people say that it helps with, heart disease and cancer and all the other good stuff. Not so sure about that. But a lot of the stuff that, aside from being really, really high in sugar, they are really, really good for you. Now, generally, the reason why I sort of would suggest the green ones is there are a ton of different grape varieties that you can go with. There are black grapes, which are a little sweeter. There are the regular red grapes that you're probably familiar with. But the green grapes seem to have, I don't know if it's more acid in it or whatever it is that gives it that tart flavor, like a Granny Smith. That really sort of helps out when you want something sweet and sour at the same time. And so usually I was going to get some to show just to sort of visualize it, but they're fairly expensive. But every now and then you can get them on sale for a couple of dollars a pound, which is still really, really good. Now, the good thing about green grapes, which the red grapes sort of do and the black grapes sort of do, but the green grapes I have found are best at this, and this is why I recommend them, is they freeze really well. And I don't mean to, freeze them just to store them. Generally what I'll do is when they go on sale for $1 something or $2 a pound, I'll buy 10 or sometimes even $20 worth of grapes, wrap them up in their little bags from the store, and put them in the freezer. And they'll stay for a very, very long time. But the cool thing with the green grapes is that no matter how long they've been frozen, unless they've been in there for weeks and weeks and weeks, when you take them out and you bite into them, they instantly thaw. And it's really odd because they don't sort of get watery. If you freeze fruit, sometimes you'll notice, or if you freeze vegetables, because the water expands and breaks up the cell membrane, they tend to get really mushy. Grapes don't do that. I'm sure that they would if you just left them out and let them thaw completely. But with the green grapes, you can actually freeze them and eat them frozen solid. Because for whatever reason, I think it's just because they are so small and the sugar content is so high, they don't entirely freeze. They turn into sort of a slush puppy inside the skin. So when you bite into it, it's like biting into a really firm slush puppy. which is really, really good. Now, the warning of this, of course, because this is aimed at sour stuff, is that after a while, your tongue is going to get sore. You're going to taste the burning just because it's so much citric. I don't know if it's citric acid, whatever the acid that's in it. You will start to feel it, but they're very, very good. And the best part is that it's way better than ice cream or some of the other cold stuff that you're going to be eating if you want the sugar stuff, and especially better than some sour candy that you might go after. Because as I say, it's the same thing with the dates. Although they're very, very high in sugar, the benefits do outweigh that. And you can eat a ton of them. And which I was going to say I don't recommend it, but if you're going to eat a lot of something, you can't do, you can do much, much worse than grapes. So if you're looking at a full pound of grapes, they've got a little over 300 calories. They've got they're zero fat, obviously. No carbohydrates? No cholesterol. They do have carbohydrates in them, though. But it's sort of a good version of it. Better that you get it from that than from, say, potatoes or rice or starchy stuff. There's a number of different vitamins that are all in there as well that you get a lot of benefits from. I'm not saying that you should eat a pound every single time you have grapes, but it's very easy to go through a pound of frozen green grapes because they're really, really, really good. The only drawback to that is that they are, if you don't get them when they're on sale, they can be a bit expensive. Right now, they're around $4 a pound where I am. But generally, every 2 or 3 weeks, they'll drop the price way down to like $1 something or $2 a pound, and that's usually when I'll stock up. And I think you'll be really surprised. Again, this sort of goes without saying that when I do these sorts of snack things, there are going to be some of you out there that are just don't like grapes. And that's fine. Eventually we will find something that you're going to enjoy. But because of the sugar content and that sour tang to it, I think a lot of you are going to enjoy it. And they are a little bit better than just having regular grapes because it is something a little bit different. And aside from just eating them directly that way, you can probably throw them in a blender if you want like a smoothie ice creamy sherbet thing. You can use them as ice cubes because they don't melt, which is really, really good. But I think you'll really be surprised that when you bite into them, it's not like a frozen strawberry, how that would get hard, or grapes are actually considered berries. So any other berry, really. They don't have that hard crunch that stuff. The red grapes, I find, they do freeze harder. So you need to sort of let them thaw a bit. And black grapes do the same sort of thing. But the green grapes, for some reason, as soon as you bite into them, it really is like biting into like a really solid slush puppy. And especially in the summertime, I'm not sure when you're watching this. If it's the middle of winter, this is probably sounding a little bit weird because you want warm stuff. But in the summertime, it's so much better because it will cool you down because you're essentially just eating ice. And we sort of touched on, having cold foods and your body has to warm it up. It's ridiculous. Don't worry about that. If you were to down a cup of ice water, it's something like 8 calories to bring it back up to body temperature, so it's nothing. So if you're looking for something that is going to be really somewhat low calorie, again, high sugar, so there is that, but we're going to worry about that later on. You can do a whole hell of a lot worse than grapes. A lot of the time, especially if you're going after something sour, it's going to be a candy because that's generally where they put all the stuff. There are some out there that may have different fruits that you can try, and eventually we'll get to those as well, like star fruit is really, really sour and good. Citrus fruit, stuff like that, like oranges and lemons and limes and stuff like that. But it's really just sour. So you sort of want to mix in a little bit of sugar with it as well, just to sort of have that. So when you get that craving, next time that you're at your store, if they're fairly cheap, because when they're cheap, you can stock up. They'll last for weeks in the freezer. Grab, even just one bag to try and throw them in the freezer overnight. And then, when you come home from work the next day, try a couple, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. They're really good. Now, a regular serving is about the size of your fist. So that runs about 100 calories. I think it's probably about a cup's worth. But again, like I say, if you want to measure it in, for for people that look like me and you, having a little serving like this is right now isn't feasible. Down the line, it will be. So you can measure it. If you're going to be buying it by the pound, you can look at it and say, good enough, I'm going to have some by the pound. About one serving is, I think, or somewhere around 25 or 30 grapes, if you want to actually individually count them out, which you don't really need to. But at least you know that you can eat a huge, huge bowl of grapes. And it's going to be the equivalent of eating like 3 Mars bars for sugar. But the benefits you're going to get from it, the vitamins, there is a little bit of fiber in there as well. Not as much as the dates or, bran flakes or something, but there is a little bit in there. Good carbohydrates in there as well. There are a lot of benefits in there. And, assuming that you enjoy it, it could sort of be your go-to snack. It's one of those things that it's probably the most common fruit that I buy. I'll buy bananas every now and then, or oranges, or Granny Smith apples, because I like that sour citrus sort of thing. But the green grapes are really one of those things that anytime I'm at a store, I'll take a look, and if they're on sale, I'll buy a bunch. Like I say, if you prefer the red ones, if you want something a little less sour, they are going to freeze a little bit differently. But if you let them thaw just a little bit, maybe 5 or 10 minutes before you start eating them, they sort of do the same thing. They take a lot longer to freeze as well. So if you take it out 12 hours later, they might just be really cold and firm, which is still good, but they won't have that slushy bits. They won't have slushy bits inside the grape that the green grapes do. So that's it. It's going to be a very short video. I know they've sort of been short this week, and I do apologize, but it's, there's not much more I can say about grapes. They're tasty, I guess. Num num. That's pretty much all you can say about them. But give it a try. Leave some comments. Let people know what you think of it. And it's for those of you that may have some texture issues. There are some people that I know that don't mind flavors of food so much as textures. It might be a bit strange, but again, it's really like eating firm ice cream or frozen yogurt, something like that. It's just that you're eating it in a little grape pellet size thing. So give it a try. I think that you'll probably enjoy it. And if not, then once again, of course, we're going to keep doing these throughout this next year. So eventually we'll hit on something that, might pique your interest, something that, you might be allergic to them as well. So it might be something that you're not allergic to, that you really enjoy, and that sort of might be your new go-to snack instead of reaching for chips or cookies or something like that. So I want to do sort of one of these every week. We've done sweet and what's the other one? Salty and now sour. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing snacks each week. I think next week, because we're sort of looking at our food a little more carefully, I'll probably do something for like breakfast cereals. Because too many cereals are just... If you want healthy cereals, you have to have just brown bran. It's like, I want to eat something that will help me do nothing but poop. So we'll touch on that next week. There are a few that I buy that are really, 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 really good. Super low calorie, but they're like Frosted Flakes quality of good. Anyway, that's down the line, so we'll forget about that. But for right now, that's pretty much all that there is. So give it a try. Leave some comments in the comments field below. Where else would you leave them? Or go on to the MyFitnessPal group and put in a couple of comments there and sort of share back and forth and see what people think. So until then, though, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.